So thank you so much for allowing me to present to you today. I am typically known as a tax CPA. I do tax and accounting consulting for small businesses, but I'm here today to present You to Do You, which is my side passion project that I've developed over the last few years. Yeah, want to hear your feedback and thoughts on it. So here's my premise. Why is that not advancing? Shoot, come on. Oh, technology. There we go. So the idea is that there are so many productivity books and tools and systems and methodologies out there, but none of them are customized to you. We all think differently. We all have different modes of approaching our productivity life. We also have different just actual physical needs, and our work lives are different, the demands that we need to manage. So you really can't just take a book or take a methodology and just accept it wholesale. If you do, you're probably going to be met with frustration. You're going to have to customize it in some way or another. So I believe that kind of taking the best from all of them is the way to go. So what I say is that in this realm of You to Do You, which of course a little pun on You Do You, that it's a world of bringing all those productivity tools and methodologies with a slice of mindfulness. So we're bringing ourselves and our own experience to the party to really understand what it is that we need to feel comfortable and successful. The focus here is not on like doing more, but on having an experience with your day-to-day, task management, calendar management, projects, time, habits, routines, all that stuff, that it's easy and frictionless, where we're trying to reduce tension. So as I say on that slide, I'm agnostic about the methodologies and technologies. The idea is customizing and finding what works best for you, using sensing in, a little bit of touchy-feely sensing in, and also just practical experimentation and self-reflection. So I like to say that my superpower is helping you unlock your productivity superpowers. A little bit about me. So I am a lifetime productivity nerd. I grew up in a family of folks who always had a to-do list going. I also have years and years of yoga, meditation, somatic body work. I am technically a 200-hour certified yoga instructor, although I don't really teach yoga much. I also recovered from some really major burnout in 2017, 18, 19, and I did that through kind of bringing in my those two realms of really paying attention, sensing in, bringing in my mindfulness, and then also borrowing and experimenting with all the techniques that are available to make your productivity experience better. So all of that brings me to being a mindful productivity coach. So what do I offer? I have three things on the active list these days. One is one-on-one coaching. I've also done some group workshops, and I have a little YouTube channel. So first off, the coaching, that's kind of the focus of that I'm really trying to get going right now, and why you're helping me today, so I can talk about that. So the whole idea behind this coaching is to help folks solve a productivity problem, whether that may be like I can't manage my to-do list very well, or I'm feeling like chaotic in some area or another, something's not working right. But we do that by listening in, reflecting, borrowing from the professionals, doing experimentation. So the framework for this one-on-one is to, we define the issue together, we meet a few times. In between, I give you like homework or experiments to run, offering emails with resources and encouragement in between those sessions, and then follow up sometime later to check in and see how things are going, or see if we need another round. I wanted to give you a few examples of sessions that I've done with some folks up till now that have been successful. One was helping somebody with their note-taking, and I got some before and after feedback here from the client. So I heard the work life was messy, it was difficult to find what I need, multiple copies of stuff of the same documents, feeling frustrated and stuck, intimidated. And afterwards, I heard back, relief. Now I have clarity, reduced mental workload, things are where they're supposed to be. Now I understand how my brain works and what I can do with it. I had another person I work with on project and goal tracking. They had too many systems in place, trouble connecting it all. They had abandoned some systems, but that still had valuable information in them. So stuff was getting lost. Afterwards, we cut through the fog. They're excited to work on the new system, had some conceptual tools to connect the dots, feeling stabilized. I'm running out of time, so I'll skip this next example, but you can see mental storm turned into clarity. We understand. So
You're
we do this
fine,
just by
Valerie.
talking.
Don't rush it.
Oh, okay, cool. And yeah, so we meet together one-on-one, highly customized. This is not like a prepackaged program that I'm shoving down anybody's throat. We're just working together to work things through. I also, like I said, have a YouTube channel. So this is for solopreneurs and individuals. And in fact, all of my offerings are for solopreneurs and individuals. This is not for teams. It's not for companies. This is the kind of one-on-one with your experience. So in this YouTube channel, I allow people to learn about productivity concepts. They can watch the results of productivity experiments. They can enjoy my productivity system reviews. And of course, there's always an invitation to customize for yourself. And there's the YouTube channel if you care to check it out. And then I've also done a few group workshops, again, for solopreneurs or individuals. So even though it's a workshop setting, it's not for a team or a company. And so in those workshops, we're introducing some mindful productivity concepts, kind of sharing my approach and inviting people to think about what's available to them and how they can use their own wisdom to design a system that works for them. We do some hands-on activities. And then they have an opportunity to share their experience and learn from others. So that's my little presentation. And I'll just preview that I do, I've been to 1 million cups enough to know that I get asked at the end, what can 1 million cups do for you? So I have that teed up and I'm excited to ask you about that. But meanwhile, I'd love to just hear your feedback and comments.
That was great, Valerie. Any questions from you guys?
I got one. Excuse me, I have one. Valerie, do you work with people with neurodivergence? Is that something that you dabble in?
Indeed, that first example, the person who had their notes in all kinds of places, she came to me and said, can you work with someone who has ADHD? And in fact, I helped somebody else out with her email diagnosed ADHD. And I can't say that I have particular training or expertise in that area, but the whole idea, this is not to downplay anybody's actual diagnosis, but I do think that it's kind of helpful to come to the party with the idea that in some ways we're all neurodivergent, that we all kind of have our own little quirks that we need to discover and work with. And so in both those cases, I got good feedback. People were like, oh, okay, I can work with what my actual needs are. I get, like, even though inbox zero is this thing that everybody says is like this brilliant thing, striving for inbox zero makes me nuts. And so I'm not going to do it. And so I said, okay, let's not do inbox zero. Let's find some other techniques and tools for you to not feel like you have this avalanche of emails coming on top of you.
I love that. Thank you. And I'd love to see it in your advertising. I think it'd be cool.
Okay, great. Thank you for that tip. I'm going to write some notes here.
Valerie, excellent job. I definitely want to talk to you about, I lead some groups and I'm thinking about some ideas that maybe bringing you into the group. Never start a presentation with, I didn't sleep well last night. Like, one, you're an amazing presenter. Own that you are where you are. We all suck at presenting. So just a heads up, like, it starts us on a negative note and you did such a great job. So I'm like, I wish you hadn't said that, because it starts you we all start thinking negative. At least I did. And I was like, oh, that sucks. So my completely transparent, non-fluid way of telling you that. And then I love the slides. I think you moved through them a little bit quickly. And I know you were sort of on a time constraint here, so, but that was just my couple feedback pieces. I thought it was a great presentation though.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah, okay, I appreciate those.
I'll go next. I think Jessica's right. I didn't want to say that, but it's unless there is a practice of also starting a meeting with a daily check-in. That's different. Okay. That's when everybody volunteers something that they are going through, because we are all human. So it's fine. You may not have slept well. It doesn't matter. We are all human. We are all going through our own things, right? So everybody probably has something, in this call. So you either put that aside or you make it a point actually of having everybody volunteer that. Great presentation. I agree with Jessica that taking a little bit more time. Maybe you were rushed because you thought that you needed to finish this in 6 minutes. I'm sorry about that. But after actually we took the pressure off you, I think it got better. So I think maybe on the next opportunity you'll do way better. But it was a great presentation. I'm curious to hear something about where do you see, we tend to see, I know I do tend to see the world from our side, right? And from where we stand. And, many times, definitely not a productivity coach, but sometimes people, you volunteer a tip or something for someone, and you say, hey, you should try this out, and it doesn't really work for them. So and you think it's that the best thing after sliced bread, and they just say, man, it's not really good, right? So I'm curious to hear how those differences actually play out. What have you seen out there? That's my question.
Yeah, think I don't 100% understand your question, but I think part of it is in how you talk to folks. So instead of saying like, oh, you should try this, this is great, it works for everybody. Instead, it's like, so I heard this technique. I wonder if you want to play around with that, and we can see what we can borrow from this methodology or this concept.
I was more interested in the range of things that you have seen out there, or people, how do they respond to different techniques? I mean, it's like you go from someone who is, because I know that people are just great at managing their time in complete chaos, right? And there's people who need to be really, really tied down. So what do you see out there, right?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that I am in just past the launch phase of this. So I've had 5 clients, unpaid clients. So I can't say, well, I've been doing this for 15 years and here's the range of experience. So what I'm trying to do now is launch into getting more experience and getting a real roster of clients going. So there definitely has been a range of people who are varying levels of, like you say, chaos or focus. And also, I think there's also a challenge between people who have varying levels of, they've already tried a bunch of stuff, or they're very, very beginner in this world. So that's been fun to sort of immediately adjust to and find where they are. So that I go, oh, okay, we can just jump ahead and we get right into where to meet them where they are, instead of, like I said, it's not a program where I'm like, okay, you're going to do step 1 and then you're going to do step 2 and then you're going to do step 3, because they may have already done step 2.5 already. So I'm not going to try to.
Thank you, Valerie. That's super interesting. So maybe you want to incorporate that also in your presentation, that everybody, first of all, everybody is in a different stage of how buttoned down they are in their time management, but there's also this other dimension where how much are they seeking change or how much they are seeking, right? So you have the productivity nerd, to use your words, right? Someone who is constantly looking for something new. And you have the person who's like, I don't know, I'm just doing this whichever way I can, right? But I'm not really looking for something, right? This is how it is, right? So yeah. All right. Any other comments?
Yeah, I've got a question. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, go ahead, Morgan.
Valerie, I'm curious, is there a particular type of client that you're really looking for right now that we could be connecting you to?
Yeah, this is where me being tired is the struggle. The main thing is somebody, like I said, the sort of client profile is somebody who is an individual or solopreneur, or even if they're working in a workplace. Like I did help a friend who, she has a regular job at corporate at Starbucks, but she was struggling with getting some habits and routines going. And so we worked on those together just casually. So that kind of challenge can be fun to work with. So anyway, but somebody who's not, I'm not looking to come in, like I said, into organizations or teams and try to get them to do a whole sort of functional system overhaul or anything like that. So it's really that one-on-one piece that I'm excited about. And even if they can't quite identify the issue, that's okay. So if they're like, I just know something's not working right. I've also found, I think you do this in therapy too, where you come and you think this is the problem, and then you talk it through and you realize, oh, there's this underlying thing that's actually the problem. You know, I've had that happen a couple times too, where we kind of end up getting to a more fundamental piece. So, yeah, uh, um, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. I'll popcorn to Wendelin.
Yeah, I'll just, I can pull up, while you're doing that, I can possibly pull up a slide that has like a list of examples of the kinds of things potential client might say that would lead them to want to work together. I'll see if I can find that slide. Yes.
Okay. So as a person with dyslexia, I don't react to words on a screen very well. But I've just, where I connected with your presentation more, where like your first slide with like all the books falling on the person, like, oh my gosh, that's, I feel that. And just now, when you were discussing, without like using the name of the company, but when you're discussing more of what you do, I clued in more with your speaking. And so when you say you don't work with groups, like if I could see that, or just like if more things in graphics work better for my learning style. So perhaps to feel less rushed, like just have a slide where you're more talking about what you're doing and connecting with me about what, because that was just a lot stronger for helping me understand and wrap my head around what you do and what you don't do. So I don't know if that works for other people, but that's just something that I was really connecting with you more afterward. So, but I love what you do because, yeah, scattered brain. I think I mean, you've got such a huge potential client base. I mean, we've all got so many modalities that we're trying to figure out how to work together or not, or whatever. So, and yeah, I like that it's not, one size fits all, because yeah, we're all different. But thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you.
So we have, I think Crispin and Luna had their hands up, and now Jessica raised her hand as well. Let's go with Crispin.
Thank you. My first million cups. Happy to be here. Happy to see you all. And I kind of want to give a little testimonial to Valerie because I was one of her test clients, I think. I think I'm one of the 5. And what I really loved about the process was the creativity of your intake and your expansive knowledge of all the systems. You know, I'm a kind of power user of productivity tools, and I was just using too many. I couldn't get it together. And in addition to, you know, changing my productivity, I think the real, like, at the end of the day, the value is that I now get to feel accomplished. And at the beginning of the day, I'm relieved that I'm not, like, you know, chasing my to-do list. I understand what's going on. So I think in addition to productivity, which is sometimes almost has like a value judgment, I think that the emotional beginning of the day and end of the day things are
Can you comment on that, Valerie? Beginning of the day, end of the day? Is there a ritual there?
Well, yeah. Crispin, I don't want to give away too much of your experience.
You can say anything you want. It's fine.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll just say that you were one where I was like, oh, this person has already thought a whole bunch of this stuff, so we're going to jump ahead. Not that there's like a straight line, but on the scatter plot of things, we're not at the origin of the XY axis. So Crispin, for example, already had a closing ritual, but we discovered it wasn't entirely serving her. So then we experimented with other ways, other things to put on it, also just physically how it was going to be in her universe. And so then, like, I'm not going to necessarily prescribe that somebody has to have an opening ritual and a closing ritual to their day, or even that we call it a ritual. But for somebody who already had one and understood that as a concept, then we got to play around with it more. If somebody didn't have that, but said to me, gosh, I start every day behind the 8 ball, I'm so confused, I might throw out, hey, what can we do the night before or the end of your workday before to tee you up for tomorrow? Let's play around with that. So that's just an example of
Great.
how we would work together.
Thank you. Luna, what have you got?
Thanks. So Valerie, I love your slides on how, you know, people have commented on the before and the after, because this is kind of going off of the conversation that we were just having with Crispin. You know, it's really nice to be able to see that kind of emotional and impact, you know, how impactful your work with people have been. I think what I would love to see a little more is, and, you know, you talk a little bit about, there's no one size fits all. So it's like, but I would like to understand, I think it would give you a lot more credibility to understand what is that process? What are those systems? Like Crispin's talking about these amazing systems and your depth of knowledge there. It's like, how do we add a little bit more of that credibility to the work that you're doing so that when I'm listening to you talk about it, I go, oh, okay, it's not just we're futzing around and, you know, trying to figure out, I mean, probably to some extent, you know, you're doing that to fit everyone's unique needs. But it is also, you know, like how do we give you a little bit more oomph? You know, whether it's, you know, if you can't talk about any specifics, then maybe talk about the process. So I felt like that was where it was lacking a little bit for me.
Good comment. Jessica.
Sorry, I'm on a phone, so it's always difficult. I just comment to everyone. So I have heard from particularly Candace, so many people now I meet are like, I just got diagnosed with ADHD. And I'm like, yeah, we all have it. We all have it on some spectrum. We're all on some spectrum. So I have taken any more to referring to anyone who is in any way referring to themselves as neurodivergent, including myself, which I know I'm on some spectrum somewhere. Thoughts arrive like butterflies. It sounds way more beautiful, and it shows to each of us that our own thinking patterns are beautiful, no matter how different they are from others. So I hope that you guys will all share out with others. When people say, oh, I think differently, you go, yeah, thoughts arrive like butterflies, and that's okay. So my little comment for the morning on mentality or whatever. And I'm sorry, I have to take off, but I
Great,
super enjoy
Jessica.
all
No,
of you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
for
coming,
being here.
Jessica.
Christina Weber. I gotta say
Yeah.
your last name because there's another
Um,
Christina. Hello, Christina.
Oh, okay. I'm actually used to that. For some reason, people use both my first and last often. I actually left the corporate environment and started a coaching business myself, and I had to reestablish my relationship with productivity. And so I wanted to offer something for your toolkit if you are not already familiar with it. The book 4,000 Weeks. You're familiar? Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Please,
really
please
helped
share, yeah.
me. Yeah, when I left, I felt this need to constantly be busy. And I had to like really consciously slow down because I didn't want that for myself anymore. So what stood out for me was in what you were saying, it's the idea of being more productive or changing someone's relationship with productivity. And so if it's the latter, I think there's an opportunity to really hone in on that in your message.
Oh yeah, that is 100% the deal. I don't care how much shit you get done.
Mhm.
I just don't. I mean, I want you to get done what you want to get done, so that you feel satisfied and good. But it's all, to me, it's all about your experience, your approach, your mindset, your way of thinking, actually giving rest its due. I'm challenged right now by I'm giving rest its due, but I'm making it a to-do list item to rest, and that is turning it into a chore, which is making me crazy. So I'm in my own experimental phase of like, how can we really rest around resting?
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for
Thank you,
offering
Valerie.
up that book. Yeah, it's actually, I haven't read it, but I understand the concept behind it, and it's on my to-do list to read it. I've got an, as you can imagine, I've read, there's a huge stack of books over here that I've read, and then there's like a whole other stack that's like to be read. So
Awesome.
Understand.
All right. Thank you, Christina. Then we got Dan. What's going on, Dan?
I was just curious, because we've had presenters in the past that are either physical space or digital space organizers. They say, okay, we're going to declutter your life, put some semblance of system in place, either on the digital side or the physical side, or sometimes both. Do you see that as like a competitor to what you're doing, or is that like a potential power partner and somebody that you would connect with and work in partnership, and kind of a follow-on to that? Do you have like somebody or some role or position or service where you're like, that's the person I really need to connect with and partner with because they're very complementary in what I do?
yeah, that actually was my, you're talking to my what can the 1 million cups folks do for you? I've identified several folks that I would like to partner with, and professional organizers are one of them. I fancy myself sort of an amateur professional organizer in that I understand all the concepts behind organizing, and there's a lot of different approaches to, there's several methodologies for organizing physical and digital worlds. But I think that if somebody really needed like their entire garage cleaned out, I would probably say, oh, let's bring in a professional organizer to actually do that piece. So no, I don't consider that a competitor, though I can also see myself going and helping somebody, in their office, say, with their physical space maybe. But yeah, I consider that like definitely a partnership situation. So yeah, thanks for asking that. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments, folks? Thank you, Valerie. You've been fantastic. One of the things that came to mind after I also heard what Luna had to say is, you know, that little tidbit that you offered on your experience with Crispin about the ritual, right? Offering some kind of something like that in your presentation, like, hey, try this on for size. Here is a tip that I'm giving you for free today. And I guarantee you that this is going to make your life better, you know, just by applying this little thing. That could be a tremendous, you know, sales pitch for your practice, because you're already showing them value, right? So think about that, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting one though, because I wouldn't want it to be the kind of tip where it's like, here's a productivity tool that you should use, because my whole thing is that I'm agnostic about all the tools and we got to find
Right.
the ones that work for you. So it's got to be like a meta tip of like how to approach thinking about tools, or here's how you experiment, or here's how you find the one that works for you, or something like that. But I love that idea. So thank you. Yeah.
That's why I like the ritual thing, because it doesn't, you know, you can do it whichever way you want, right? But it's the find a way how you start your day and find a way how you close up your day so that the next day it's easier to get started, right?
Yeah. Yeah.